Well, hello everybody, it's Dan, your friendly fishmonger from dansfish.com, and today I'm going to share with you some amazing footage of a wild-type betta, it's called Betta enisae, spawning. So let's take a look at these beauties. Here you go. Okay, here they are. The male is in the back right now. He's coming around. He's got a bright blue throat and bright blue gill covers. The female's in front there. She's a little more slender, not as long of finnage and not as much color on her. The male also has this bright blue band across the length of the anal fin, giving them the nickname blue-banded betta sometimes, although with wild-type bettas we generally go with the scientific name. He also has quite a bit of bright iridescent blue on his caudal fin, and his pectoral fins, and his pelvic fins, sorry, his pectoral fins are pretty much clear, and a little bit on the dorsal fin. So the main color you'll see though, and you'll see it throughout this video when he displays his anal fin, is on the anal fin, bright iridescent blue margin of color, and there's some black on the edge of that which kind of accentuates it. Now here's our first successful embrace. These are a mouth brooding betta, and in this case it's the male that carries the eggs. So unlike most species, the male of this species cares for the eggs. After they spawn, he'll keep the eggs in his mouth. He'll constantly tumble them in his mouth and run fresh water over them so they get plenty of oxygen and they're protected. And the female will go off and do her own thing. Once they're done spawning, their pair bond is broken. So they bond up very briefly just for the spawning event. And then after that, they're back on their own. So when they're done here, the male will go find a corner under some java moss or something and hang out until the eggs are done incubating. Now, as you see, they're constantly running off to chase away other bettas. There's about 20 of this species here in this aquarium, and it's the female mostly which keeps the territory safe. So, and that makes sense. It's hard for the male to do that when he's got a mouth stuffed absolutely full of eggs, although he will occasionally go off and chase away another fish if it gets too close. And that's very important. Oh, there she goes. So she's spitting the eggs out for him, and he'll eventually catch them when he's quick enough and put them in his buccal cavity. That's the cavity in his throat or in his mouth really, that he keeps the eggs in. And she spits them out and then sucks them back real fast. So if he's not quick enough, he doesn't get them. So he'll do this constant kind of circle motion, going around right by her mouth, begging for the eggs so that he can collect them up and brood them. And again, she's super quick about that, and you'll see why later in this video. The other fish will occasionally try to sneak in and grab some eggs to eat, a nice caviar snack for the other bettas. So these guys are constantly being vigilant. There she goes, chasing someone away that got too close, and trying to keep their area secure so that no one snacks on their eggs, which is a real threat. And again, a little later in this video, towards the end of the video, you'll see a betta doing that. So there's a lot of false starts and stops, and a lot of it's because they'll start to embrace and then they'll see a threat and go chase it away. At the end of the spawning embrace, they're both in a little bit of a stupor for just a little while, the male a little longer than the female. The eggs will have been placed during spawning on the male's anal fin. The female will grab them real quick in her mouth, and for those few instances, few moments I guess, when they're kind of in a stupor, it would be really easy for another fish to swoop in and eat the eggs. So they try to clear the area before they actually embrace so that the other fish don't eat them. This species, it comes from Borneo. They come from very soft water habitats, these little streams that are flowing, and because the streams are flowing, they can't build a bubble nest because the flowing stream would destroy the water movement, would destroy the bubble nest. So they've developed this mouth brooding behavior instead. Now, they do just fine in hard alkaline water as well if it's clean in captivity. But in the wild, they do come from that blackwater habitat that so many of our aquarium fish come from. And something about their habitat is when we think of bettas, we think of hot water, like a domestic betta, Betta splendens. We want to keep, you know, in the mid to upper 80s, at least low 80s. We want to keep them nice and hot. The streams these guys come from, because they're shallow and flowing, there's a lot of cooling action due to the water evaporating. They're in densely kind of forested areas where the sun doesn't get down to heat the water, and they're actually fairly cool. So these fish like it in the low to mid 70s. This is not a hot water fish. So don't make the mistake of thinking, hey, it's a betta, and putting it, you know, in the mid 80s. It won't appreciate that very much. Now they're pretty hardy, but they do prefer it. Again, low to mid 70s would be great. Upper 70s is fine too, but it is a cooler water fish than we're used to when we think of a betta. This species is not shy. I've got about 20 of them in this aquarium, and they always come up and beg for food. They're out in the open. After the first week or so, once they'd settled in, they stopped hiding. They came out, and they're full of personality. There she goes. She's grabbing the eggs off of his anal fin right there. Hopefully later on we'll get a shot where we can actually see the eggs resting on his anal fin, but the angle didn't cooperate there. But anyway, they're an outgoing fish. They're not one that's going to hide away a lot. They also eat absolutely everything. They're very easy to feed. So these are eating flake food, they eat pellets, they eat frozen food. Of course they eat live food. Look at him begging for the egg. He's like right up in her face. He's like, come on, spit the egg out. Come on. And they'll even eat rapashi food. So very voracious feeders, not hard to feed, and pretty fast to the food for a betta. And so I think that this is a species that would actually thrive in a peaceful community aquarium. I wouldn't keep them with like a big school of barbs or something like that that's super fast and boisterous and semi-aggressive, because that might outcompete them for food. But most fish, I think they would be fine with, as long as they're peaceful and aren't super fast. These guys learn where the food comes and are right there and are quick to eat. So I don't think that would be a problem. So I think they would be just fine. Now, the literature that I've read on these guys says that they top out at like around 2.3 inches or so, and the ones I have right now, some of them are 3 inches. So I don't know where that information comes from, but if I'm looking at them tip of the nose to tip of the tail, some of them are 3 inches for sure, maybe even a little bit bigger. Now some are only 2 inches, but it tells me that they get a little bigger than you can find when you look at the literature. So yeah, keep that in mind. They're not a tiny little fish, about 3 inches maybe full grown. But they are peaceful. The only time you'll see any aggression is during spawning, like they are right now. You'll see them, rush off and chase away potential predators of their eggs. But they aren't, the bond doesn't last. So they'll spawn, and while they're spawning, they'll chase other fish away. And then as soon as they're done spawning, they'll stop doing that. So it's not like a cichlid or something where the territory is going to be defended for weeks and all the other fish will be batted up into a corner and be stressed out and picked on for weeks while the pair does their thing. These guys, it's a few hours while they spawn and then they're done. And they don't do, huge damage. They're just chasing fish away. So nice, peaceful, hardy, easy to keep, easy to breed, easy to feed betta. So I really like these guys quite a bit. And like all iridescent color schemes, the iridescence of his bright blue mouth and that bright blue, marred band on his anal fin is not showing up very well on camera. It's just not something that shows up in pictures or videos very well. So you'll just have to take it from me that it's there and that it's really kind of striking and glowing, that bright blue color that he has. So let's see here. I wanted to say a couple more things about these guys, and one of the main things you have to keep in mind is they are jumpers. They jump a ton. please don't keep these unless you have a nice tight-fitting lid on your aquarium, because they will end up on the floor in short order and turn into fish chips, which is never fun. So with all wild-type bettas, that's the case. With these, it's double the case. They're very strong jumpers. This is our last embrace here. And this is where, oh, I'm sorry, that was a false embrace, but we'll get a successful one in a moment here. And this is where we're going to see why they have to be so careful. A little predation is going to happen. So he didn't land on the bottom of the tank, and he saw there she goes, see that betta snuck in and grabbed an egg or two. And that happened because he didn't end up on the bottom, and he saw a threat coming at the end of the embrace, and he got into position to try to defend the eggs, but he wasn't quick enough, and he flung the eggs away so the female couldn't pick them up quickly, and that gave that other fish a great opportunity to snatch them up and have a little caviar snack. So yeah, so that happened. Anyway, hope you like this. Let's go to the outro. Alright, so there you have it, the Betta enisae spawning. They're kind of awesome. It's always fun to see that behavior. I especially love the ball game they play when the female spits the eggs out to the male and he tries to catch them before she quote-unquote protects them again by sucking them back in her mouth if he's too slow. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and we'll geek out together and get a discussion going. If you like this stuff, please feel free to subscribe, share, like, and hit the notification bell. All that schmazz that us YouTubers are always begging you to do, because it makes us feel good when we see our subscriber count go up and all that stuff. But anyway, thanks for watching, and until next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.